U.S. basketball player Brittney Griner is on her way back home. She has been released from a Russian prison. However, her freedom comes at a price. The U.S. has released Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout in exchange. He has reached his home country. The prisoner swap took place at the Abu Dhabi airport. At one time, the 55-year-old arms dealer was one of the world's most wanted men. He came to be known as the Merchant of Death. For almost 2 decades, Bout sold weaponry to Africa, Asia and South America. They mostly landed with the rogue states, rebel groups, or even warlords.
Виктор, как вы добрались?
Ну, вроде добрался, это самое главное. Но посреди ночи просто подняли, сказали, собирайся, и все. Никакой особой предварительной информации не было.
Brittney Griner was arrested in Russia on February 17th. The United States have been in touch with Russia since then, but with the two nations' relations at its lowest, Griner paid the price for the diplomatic fallout. The 32-year-old NBA star was caught with vape cartridges that contained cannabis oil. It is a legal medication for chronic pain in the United States, but cannabis in all forms is banned in Russia. On August 4th, the two-time Olympic gold medalist was sentenced to 9 years behind the bars. U.S. President Joe Biden said that it took painstaking negotiations with Moscow, but Griner is coming back home.
She's safe, she's on a plane, she's on her way home. After months of being unjustly detained in Russia, held under intolerable circumstances, Brittney will soon be back in the arms of her loved ones, and she should have been there all along. This is a day we've worked toward for a long time. We never stopped pushing for her release. It took painstaking and intense negotiations.
Along with the Vice President, Brittney Griner's wife was also present at the Oval Office. After months of longing, they will soon be reunited. Sherelle also made a bid to get rest for the detained Americans back home.
Today my family is whole, but as you all are aware, there's so many other families who are not whole. And so BG's not here to say this, but I will gladly speak on her behalf and say that BG and I will remain committed to the work of getting every American home, including Paul. And today it's just a happy day for me and my family, so I'm gonna smile right now. Thank you.
Washington had approached Moscow with 2 releases. First, of the NBA star Brittney Griner, and second, of Paul Whelan. He is a former U.S. Marine who has been serving 16 years on espionage charges. The Kremlin did not agree on Whelan's release, and it seems like it was a one or none choice.
This was not a choice of which American to bring home. The choice was one or none. I wholeheartedly wish that we could have brought Paul home today on the same plane as Brittney, just as at the time I wish we could have brought Brittney and Paul home when we secured the release of Trevor Reed back in April. But we will stay at it.
And for more on this, we were earlier joined by Meirowitz, who is a political commentator and a professor at the State University of New York Maritime College, and this is what he had to say.
I think the main takeaway here is the prestige loss of the United States. Now, first of all, I'm thrilled for Brittney Griner, but the United States is a major superpower in the world. And the fact that America left Paul Whelan behind, who was a Marine, is totally shameful and indicative of the fact that America's prestige was really not up to par here. Obviously, the deal to release Brittney was very important. But the discussions all along, I went back and looked at this, was always a 2-for-1 swap. It was always Paul Whelan, who's been in jail for a number of years, and Brittney Griner. And then they came up with this this guy, Viktor Bout, who is actually an arms dealer, which is interesting because Russia needs arms now to fight the war against Ukraine. So it's kind of a crazy deal to swap a major merchant of death, as you've called him, for Brittney Griner, but to leave Paul Whelan behind. And also to rely on the UAE. I mean, I'm all respect for MBZ, but this is the United States. And we don't leave our Marines behind. We don't do that. And also, Mr. Bout has been negotiator with arms transactions with terrorists. I mean, this whole transaction here was done in a way to shed good light on Biden when he has a lot of political issues in the United States. And I'm not saying that the deal is bad. The deal is great. She's coming home absolutely beautiful, and her wife Sherelle spoke beautifully about trying to help the others. It's not just Paul Whelan. There were a number of other Americans detained. So at the end of the day, the balance sheet on this is win for America for Brittney Griner, yes. Loss for America prestige in terms of not being able to get the other, at least this Paul Whelan out. This is very, very disappointing, and I think many Americans will be very upset about it.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.